All right. I forgot to do something. I have a little do not disturb sign that I forget to switch over. Otherwise people come barging in. Good morning from the US. Good afternoon from South Africa. It is live stream time. I'm just going to pop on over to the meetup and just let folks know that we are live. Need the link, don't I? There we go. So let's pop that in there. Why can't I see the comments? Oh, I'm not even logged in. How weird. Let's log in quickly. Yeah, let's try that again. Hopefully you can hear me. If you can't hear me, let me know. I should have, everything should still be working from last time I did this, but it's been 2 weeks since I last did this. So if you can't hear me, if the music's too loud, whatever the case may be, let me know. All right, so we are continuing along with learning how to contribute to WordPress. If you missed the first session on how to set up the local development environment, you can get it from this URL. This is the recording of the last session. So if you want to know how I have everything set up, you can follow that. I'm going to just turn this music down a little bit. There we go. And today, well, last week I was planning on looking for some issues to work on, and then I had to cancel the live stream at the last minute. So today that's what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start looking for some interesting issues to work on. I'm going to share where you can find all of those issues. And then hopefully we can find something that I feel comfortable working on as a good first bug. So let's dive in. The first place to look for open issues to work on in the WordPress project is at make.wordpress.org/core. Pop that in the chat. Oh, I should mention, I'm using a new keyboard today. I'm going to share a picture of the keyboard, Microsoft Sculpt ergonomic thing. And it's taken me a while to get used to it. So if my typing is a bit more wonky than usual, I apologize. I will do my best not to make too many mistakes. I'm also just going to turn off my phone, or at least silence my phone. It is already silenced. Okay, excellent. All right, so make.wordpress.org/core. That is the core WordPress, or the WordPress core team, if you will. It's their site, it's their blog, it's where they post updates, it's where discussions happen. It's where you can find the handbook. So that's this link over here, handbook. It's also where you can find the tickets that folks are working on and the different components. So if you click on components, you can scroll down, you can find all the different components. And for my purposes, I'm going to be focusing on the REST API. So you'll see there is the REST API there. These are the folks who are the maintainers, I think they call them. Maintainers, that's correct, of this component. So it is Timothy Jacobs and Ryan McHugh and Rachel Baker, Cadam White, or Cadam, I think I pronounced that, and Jonathan Harris, who I had the pleasure of meeting in Europe, WordCamp Europe in Athens. And so if you click on that, then it takes you to the component page for the REST API. Currently, Ryan McHugh is the tech lead. Cadam White is the design lead. Features can be tracked on the Trello board. Meetings are held every Thursday at 8 a.m. my time in the evening, 8 p.m. my time in the evening. So that would be around about 6 p.m. UTC, I think it is. They also manage the application password subcomponent. These are REST API updates. And then these are all the open tickets. So there are 6.5 tickets that I've been worked on for, 6.2 bugs that have been worked on for 6.5, 3 enhancements, no feature requests, and no blessed tasks. I'm not quite sure what a blessed task means. If anybody knows what that is, let me know. I think it's a case of this is like a new piece of work that we need to get done, and it's been given sort of permission to work on. But I've never quite understood that one. And then there are 34 issues awaiting review, 34 bugs, 38 enhancements, 7 feature requests, 22 bugs that are sort of set for a future release, 30 enhancements, 2 feature requests, and 4 blessed tasks. I'm going to open that quickly and just want to see what blessed task means. I think blessed generally means that everybody agrees this is a good idea and we should do it. Trying to see when it was updated. I don't see it being updated to blessed. Maybe it was when it was created. As per discussion, happens to pass through most of the REST API need. Okay, so it might have been when he created it. I've never had clarity as somebody who's been contributing to WordPress for not that long, maybe 7 years. I've never had clarity as to who blesses a task. Is it the maintainers? Is it the project leadership? Never quite figured that one out myself. So yeah, it must have been when it was created. It was blessed. I'm actually going to dive into if I can figure out why this is. So let's go and have a look here. Just search for blessed. What I'm looking for is hopefully some kind of documentation about what a blessed task is. Might have to go ping somebody and ask them. Maybe Google will help. Let's have a look, see. Oh, maybe there's something in the handbook. Ah, there we go. Feature development for the upcoming major release centers around task tickets, which are major features or important enhancements that have been blessed by the core team. Okay, a ticket should otherwise never receive this designation. Okay, so it's a major feature or important enhancement that has been blessed by the core team. Okay, so those we should probably leave alone. Alrighty then. So, where was I? I've lost where I was. Let's go back a couple of pages here. No, it wasn't there. Was it here? No, it wasn't here. It wasn't here. Just here. There we go. So that's one place where you can find REST API tickets. The other place where you can find tickets is in the Gutenberg repository. Sorry, I just noticed that somebody posted something in chat, and I just want to looking to find future. I had a call with Harry Shankar the week before the new year, and he suggested I start collaborating and look for groups to join, and also easy bugs to start fixing. Mainly front end. Cool, welcome. I hope that you learned something today. I'm mostly back end myself, so we're not going to be really looking at front endy things, but hopefully that something sparks. Based on that surname, that looks like James. So James, if that's you, say hi. James, I've met James before at previous live streams. So It is James. Hi, James. Okay, so the other place that you can look for REST API issues is in the Gutenberg repository. And the reason for that is because Gutenberg uses the REST API under the hood for practically everything it does. So the way to find those there. So this is one of those things where it's kind of difficult to know where to start looking for things to work on if you've never contributed before. My suggestion would be to get used to Trac, which is what we're in here, core.trac.wordpress.org. We'll dive into how this all works in a second. But with Gutenberg specifically, the Gutenberg project is the site editor. Everything kind of happens there. There are also often some issues in the Gutenberg project that are around the REST API. So to find those, you can click on Issues, and then you can search for the REST API interaction. So there's core REST API tasks, of which there are currently 4 open ones. Some of these are quite old. So yeah, we'd have to go through those. And then the other one is there is a backspace there. There is another REST API label called REST API interaction. And in that one, let me just untick this. There are 48 open issues. So different places you can find issues to work on. The difference with the Gutenberg ones is that will go into the Gutenberg plugin, which will eventually get merged into core. The ones on Trac would be merged into core pretty instantly. So I'm not quite sure which way I'm going to go yet. I was kind of looking at the list in Trac. So there's 32 tickets that have no replies. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by looking at issues that are part of the REST API component. So to show you how that works, if you go to, and it is a bit of a minefield to know where to get started and look for issues, I'll be honest. But if you go to core, this is not pasting. If you go to core.trac.wordpress.org, if you don't know, might be useful to share, but Trac is actually just a issue tracking software. It's been around forever. Trac bug tracker, Trac project. It's similar to things like Bugzilla, to Mantis, to Jira, those kind of things. It has been around for a long time. Let's see how long it's been around. 2004. So right about the time that the first versions of WordPress were released. And so at the time, I'm guessing Matt chose to use Trac as an issue tracker. And it's kind of stayed that way ever since. Back then we used Trac and we used SVN before things like GitHub and Git were developed. But this is where most of the issues are logged. Many of the issues that are in the Gutenberg repository, specifically to the current versions of WordPress, are brought over to Trac. So most of the time you can find what you're looking for in Trac. And the way to start searching is to click on, you can either click on components and then click on the REST API components and go through the way I just showed you. Or you can just search and click on the tickets option. And you can do something like latest tickets, or whatever the case may be, by major release, whatever the case may be. So let's go to latest tickets, for example. And you'll see all the latest issues. And you'll see they belong to different components, etc., etc., etc. I prefer to go via the components. So I usually go components, and then I go, where is it now? REST API. And then I have a look at all of the issues that belong to the REST API. So I'll click on, not that one. It's kind of not what I'm looking for. What I want is just a list of all issues on Trac. So what you can do is you can actually create your own. So let's go to open enhancements, for example. So here we go. So the way you can do this, so okay, let's go all the way back to Trac. So there we go. And you can design your own query. Or you can go here we go. Where was that? No, let's do that again. Tickets. Here we go, tickets by component. So you can go tickets by topic, tickets by release, tickets by focus. So if we said tickets by component and we selected REST API, that would then list all of the REST API related issues. So this is a nice way to look at the overview. You can see there's 1 to 100 of 143. These are slated for next release. So these are currently being worked on for the next milestone. So I'm not going to try and get involved in any of those. Folks are already working on them. Then we've got tickets awaiting review. So these are tickets that have patches or needs unit tests or whatever the case may be, which means somebody has created a patch for it and it needs to be worked on to move forward. Candidates for closure, tickets needing feedback, tickets with patches. And then right at the bottom of the list, there will probably be tickets that are new, unpatched bugs, for example. Here we go. Unpatched enhancements. Here we go. So that's kind of, if you want to work on something fresh and new, you can kind of find those over there. That having been said, it might be useful to look at some of these tickets that have patches and maybe test out the patch. It might be easier to start helping out with testing a patch or writing unit tests for a patch. So that might be something I look into. Or for example, if we go back one page here, tickets needing feedback. No, not tickets needing feedback. Which one was it now? Tickets awaiting review. So we could look at it and we could see, well, let's have a look at this one, for example, creating an anonymous comment with custom fields via REST API. I'm able to successfully create anonymous comments via and let's see here. Okay, talking about possibly closing this one out, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. So the best thing to do is to kind of look through each of these tickets and sort of see, which ones work for you. What I think I'm going to do today is I'm going to try and find one that needs some testing. So these all have a patch, but they probably need testing. So let's have a look at this one, for example. Expose menu data public in menus REST API. It has a patch. It's a proof of concept PR, so I think it needs more feedback from folks that are involved. It's not really something I feel like working on. I'm wondering now if it makes sense to focus on REST API, and maybe it makes more sense to find some other kind of bugs to work on, just to kind of get ourselves comfortable with, fixing bugs and fixing things, and then we can come back to REST API focus later. Because REST API is very specific. You have to kind of have a good feel for how the REST API works and what it does. And also I would like to find out from folks if they have any sort of good first issues they would like folks to work on. So while we're on that topic, inside of the Making WordPress Slack, there is a core REST API channel where you can go and ask questions. I don't know how easy it's going to be. So I'm thinking maybe I should post some kind of question around where folks would find benefit. I'm not quite sure myself, to be honest. So the other thing that we could do is we could do this. Go new custom query, and we can say, let's take that out of the way, and we can say component is REST API, and take away assigned, take away reopened, and I'm going to take away reviewing. And I'm going to refresh that. So that might give us an idea of some new bugs that we could work on. If I don't find anything amazing, I might just go and look at something else. This seems to be taking forever now. my internet fallen over? Oh, here we go. Database is locked. There was an internal error in Trac. Okay. Let's try that again. So let's go design your own query. Report through Psycho. So let's remove that and update. Because those are issues that I've worked on. Okay, that's better. And let's go component is REST API update. Okay, that seemed to work. Okay, so now let's take out anything that is assigned, anything that is reopened, and anything that's being reviewed. There we go. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. All right, so this is 118 issues that are in the REST API that are sort of accepted as valid issues. They are new and nobody's working on them. So that's one way to do it. So you create your own custom query, select the component you want to work on, maybe just keep accepted and new enable. You can group by status, severity, resolution. You can show description under each result. That might be useful. Let's do that. There we go. So now we're getting an idea of what's going on. Although that's not the most readable. So I'm going to not include that. And now you can kind of go through and you can see what they're talking about. So we've got HTTP status codes and you've got supporting dates. Add accessor functions for post status and post parent. Default query for users does go. I'm looking for sort of easy, simple. I see they do have priorities. It's not really easy to see if anything would be considered a good first bug here. So you kind of have to go through and open up the issue and read through it and see if it makes sense to you. Add a REST nonce action to the REST API. That's interesting. In the spirit of fully customizing the REST APIs, I'm doing my today. Some features are customizable for the tools, while the nonce name, or rather the REST nonce action, is not. Don't know if your REST is a bit generic and could easily have REST nonce name or REST nonce action filter added. Thoughts? So there's a patch. You should upload them in form of a patch, not the entire source file. You can find more information here. Stop by there. Patch added. Patch submitted. Something wonky with the alignment. Patch updated. When are practical, using this filter would be if a site changed the REST API action with a filter, all the plugins that we're creating REST nonce. Yeah, that's what I was thinking when I read through this. As such, the practicality here seems quite small and probably better served by a custom authentication filter. Because of that, I think it makes sense to close the sticklet. And that's where it ended up. Okay, so this is a bit of a dead end. So you keep going. And that's essentially how you find a ticket to work on. You read through it, you find whether it's interesting, whether it's something you can handle. And then you see if you can fix it. So this one says incorrect HTTP status code. Let's have a look at that one. Specify posts. When I request a status, I get the error status is forbidden. Problem is not the request of status keeper is valid, but the requesting draft requires authentication. I'd like to request that HTTP status 401 be returned instead of 400. Okay, so there's a diff. So in case you're wondering what a diff is, we'll chat about that in a second. But let's read through here. Converting to a bug considering the wrong HTTP returned here. Changes status 400 with 401 for another request. Some unit tests. Some unit tests that had assertions checked. Return status code was 400, having been changed. Some unit tests that had assertions checking return status code was 400 have been changed to check that return status code is 401. So this one has a patch by the looks of it and needs testing. So this might not be a bad one to test. So let's have a look. This is the diff. So if you're wondering what a diff is, a diff basically includes the changes, or a patch, if you will, include the changes that would be made to the file in a special format that you can apply to your checked out version of of WordPress core, and then you can test. You can test that things work the way they should. So the changes being made here in the access, the person gets the error code. If it's invalid parameter, if not, is it error code? Error code is whatever the error code is, or pass 400. The problem here is that changes status 401 for unauthorized requests. If is WR is sanitized value. See, I need to spend more time with the REST API to understand how all this works. So I do feel like attachment controller, pages controller, post controller. Yeah, that's already one I feel comfortable testing, so I'm not going to get in there. Okay, let's go back here. Our conditional field registration generated slug to REST API to service endpoint. REST API page response to include scripts needed for display of post content. Interesting. Often the post body is dependent on external scripts and style sheets in order to be displayed correctly, but there's no way to discover what these scripts and style sheets are. The problem was encountered in Gutenberg on that, and the fix was to filter the REST API response to include the list of scripts. You can't know what the scripts are required ahead of time, especially if the API client goes around from a different server. Yeah, this looks a bit bigger than what I... Use get blog indo in the REST API index. Okay. REST API provides data on the site index when making a request to that. This describes the site and the APIs. This has patch keyword second opinion, so a patch has been added. No, I'm not going to get involved there. Uploading doing it wrong should write into debug log. That's interesting. I created a plugin that called to register REST route without permission callback argument. It worked fine until WordPress 5.5 that this argument is now required. However, the errors does not appear anywhere except the REST API headers, but it's hard to notice about that. I keep using the old codes because I didn't know this change is now, and it's not showing in the debug log. Until one day WordPress 5.8 is released and I entered into the new widget management and all errors appeared in the debug log. The function doing it wrong is useful and should write the details into the debug log, no matter where it is called. So this is interesting because when was this created? 2 years ago. I remember, this is interesting. I remember seeing something about this when I was working on some REST API content. So this could be one that I could work on. Let's have a look. Okay, so this was opened 2 years ago. If I hover over that, it'll show me it was open on the 16th of January. No, yeah, 16th of January 2022. This was just after I joined, just before I joined Automatic. And I remember doing some work on creating REST API endpoints and not setting the permission callback and it not throwing an error. So so this has no conversation on it, which is cool. So we should actually be able to test this out. Always fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the WREST API handbook. And going to add a custom endpoint, which is what I think this person is doing. Register REST route. Register REST route, yeah. Yeah, register REST route. That's it. Okay. So we're going to just steal this code here. I actually think I did this in my Learn WordPress content, so let's have a look. Yes, James says, so the core track is just a list of everything. I'm looking for some front-end issues. Yes, James, essentially core track is everything. If you're looking for front-end issues, your best bet would be to select a component that has more of a front-end focus. So when you say front-end, do you mean the front end of the dashboard or just any front-end related problem? Because you could possibly look at administration or the dashboard at least, and then find some front-end issues there. Let me go back to where was that now? I've lost it. Okay, let me just copy this into my thing here quickly. And then based on, or you could look at, for example, next major release, and you can find anything in there. It does require you to do a little bit of digging though. So you're not easily going to find like just front-end issues. You're going to have to sort of get used to how Trac works and kind of do some digging. The best thing to do, so I'm going to share this quickly as well. And this is back to the other question earlier about the link. So the handbook link, let me paste that quickly. So let me just share these links again. So it's make.wordpress.org/core. That's the first one. And then the handbook is there. And then the handbook is this link over here. So I'll just copy that out. That's the handbook there. James, you also mentioned about block editor functionality and usability. So if you're in Trac, you should also be able to, if you go to components, you should also be able to go to the editor component. There, editor. And the editor component would be the block editor. So it's integration of the Gutenberg block editor, maintenance of the classic editor and all those related things. So that would be another place you could start. But I want to also share this with you as well. Let's go back to the core blog. If you look on the core blog here and you scroll down to the right, they have regular chats and they have a new contributors chat. And the new contributors chat happens on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of every month. So if we have a look at where we are now, the 2nd Wednesday would be next week, 14th, the Valentine's Day. So the 14th and the 28th of February, there will be a new contributors chat in the core channel in Slack. And essentially, let's hop on over to core, and let's find the new contributors chat. I think they might notify it when it starts or something. Here, new contributors. Sega's asking, second, third. So it does look like it is still on the go. So you can join the core channel at that point, and then ask questions, and say, I am interested in working on these kind of issues. And usually there will be folks around to help. It's at 1900 UTC, which is whatever that time is in your local time zone. But you can then join the new contributors chat, and you can chat to folks, and you can find out how things work. And then usually soon after the new contributors chat, they have the weekly developer meetings, which the next one is this coming Wednesday at 10. That's 8 UTC, GMT plus 2 my time. And you can then follow along in dev chat and see what people are working on, and you can possibly ask questions there as well. So have a look out for those meetings. If you click on the see all meetings link at the bottom here, you can then see all the meetings that are happening. It doesn't look like there it is. There's the new core contributor chat. So this is January. So if we hop on over to next month, February, and we go to it'll be, what is it, the 14th. There's the new core contributor chat. You can click on that and you can add it to your Google Calendar, or whatever calendar you prefer to use, and then it'll remind you. And that is a great place to chat to folks, ask questions, say to them what you're interested in, what your experience is, where you want to get involved, and then they will help you get going. And also what you can do in those sessions is you can bring questions. You can say, I've been working on something. How do I create a patch? How do I do this? How do I do that? I'm going to try and go through some of those things later in this process, but that is where you can also ask for help and and they'll point you in a good direction of what you should work on. Okay, cool. So for me personally, I'm going to have a look at this bug quickly here. So what I'm going to do, what I've done is I have got my local development environment set up. I'm running this. I just want to show you quickly. I'm running this on a fork of the WordPress develop code, which is a repository in my local GitHub account. There it is there, WordPress develop. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm not a core contributor, so I don't have a way to easily create pull requests and those kind of things to WordPress develop. So the easy way to do that is if you go to the WordPress developer, the WordPress develop GitHub repository, which I'll paste into the chat with you. Also check out that YouTube video that I pasted earlier. I'll share that again in a second. You can click on, there's a fork button. And if you click on the fork button, it'll ask you to create a fork in your repository. You click new owner. See, mine already exists, so I can't create that. And then it forks the code to your account. What that allows you to do is it allows you to create pull requests, branches, all that kind of thing. And you can also keep your fork in sync with the WordPress one. So you just click sync fork, and you say update branch, and it'll make updates and all it needs to do. And now it's up to date with WordPress trunk. See, what's his name? I've forgotten. Pascal. Pascal recently committed some changes, so that's why I needed to get updated there. So there it's updated. And then in my local WordPress develop, I'm just going to go git pull, and I'll get the latest and greatest of whatever version this is. So if you want to work on trunk, that's a good way to get started. If you're used to working in GitHub, it's an easy way to get going. But do check out the YouTube video. I'm going to share that again. I'm going to copy paste that from earlier. Do check out the YouTube video because it talks about how you can set up the local environment and all of that stuff if you want to know how to do that. All right. So I am going to go ahead now, and I just want to actually check something. I want to check how long I set these for, because I think I've only got 15 minutes left. Oh, I actually was meant to start it at 3:30. What time did I start? Did I start at 3:30? Let's check. No. Yes, I did. I started at 3:30. Okay, so I do have some time left. I see someone's chatting in the event chat. Let's just see what's happening there. Okay, someone just says hello. All right. So if I started at 3:30, we've got another 45 minutes. Okay, cool. So the way I'm going to try and fix this is I'm going to try and... In fact, I can probably use this person's code here. So let's go over here. I'm going to create a plugin in the source directory, WP content plugins. I'm just going to create a very simple little plugin here, and I'm going to say example plugin. And then I'm going to let GitHub Copilot just generate some plugin header for me. And I want plugin description. There we go. And then I'm going to grab this code. And I'm going to pop that in over there. And I'm going to change this from my plugin to example plugin. Okay, and we'll make that example plugin. All items. Callback. My plugin get items. And then I'm going to create the callback function. I'm literally just going to return a list of items. That's all I'm going to do there. Okay. And then the only other thing I'm not sure of is, I guess the local development environment is going to log the debug log to the WP content. So let's just check. So if I go into my local, which is somewhere here. That one. I'm getting very hot here, so I'm going to pop the fan on. It's under my desk. It's very, very warm here in Cape Town at the moment. So hopefully the fan noise doesn't come through on the mic. So let's go to the list of plugins, and I should see my example plugin there to be able to enable it. I don't know why, but I find... Okay, let's just see here. WordPress connection. Yeah, this I sometimes have. So there's my example plugin. I'm going to activate that. And I'm going to check if the... Yeah, there's the debug log. Okay, excellent. Okay, I keep getting this server's issue with... I'm going to just quit this. I'm going to restart the local server. Stop it. And run and restart. See if that fixes those issues. Sometimes you get these issues where it tries to connect to, I don't know if it's a Docker thing. It tries to connect to WordPress servers to like do a sanity check and not sanity check, heartbeat check, and then it fails. And so far, the only way I've figured out to work around it is to install a plugin called Flight Mode and enable Flight Mode, which basically disables any requests to external sites. So let's download flight mode while I'm thinking about that. Is it flight mode or airplane mode? It's airplane mode. Yeah, it's this one. I thought this was, I think it is in the plugins. Let me just go here. Ah, new keyboard. No, not that one, that one. Yeah, there it is. So I'm going to just download this quickly. Stick it on my desktop. And let's upload this. And install it. I don't know why this happens. I don't use Docker a lot. I hate Docker personally. So I couldn't be bothered to try and figure out why it happens. So I just install airplane mode. And it basically turns off all the external requests and it stops that error happening. So I'm going to just install this quickly. Okay, this should be installed now. Yes, please. I get this on my local Learn development environment as well. Yeah, there's airplane mode. Activate it. If this keeps bothering me, I might just one day go and dive into why it's happening and see if I can figure it out. I'm pretty sure it's a Docker related thing. Okay, airplane mode is now active. So now we should find that things are a lot faster. Okay, so let's have a look at our debug log. Okay, debug log is logging everything. So let's delete that. All right, so let's go back to our plugin list. Example plugin is active, which means I should be able to now browse to all items. So let's try that. So it'll be, can never remember the URL for this. So it'll be WP JSON. I think, yes. And then it will be example plugin, I think. All items, yeah. There. Okay, so that's what I wanted. And now the permission callback is not set, so it doesn't. Okay. So I remember coming across this recently. So let's have a look here. See, now in register rest root, they talk about the fact that you, it's here somewhere. Yeah, since 5.5.0, there is a notice if your registration of REST API root is not including the permission callback. You may get some notice in debug log like the following one. To solve this problem, you need to add the permissions callback. Now, I haven't added it, and it's not throwing an error. And that's essentially what this person is saying. So what I need to check now is why it's not throwing this error, and then get that to log to the debug log. So my guess would be if we go into register rest root, which we can do from here. And this is one of the cool things I like about IDEs is often you can select, if you've got it all set up correctly, you can select the function and you can hold down Alt or your Mac key or whatever, and you can click through to the function itself. But this is in the WP includes REST API.php file. It's the register rest root function. There is the doing it wrong call. And let's see if we see the permissions callback. Permissions callback. If not set, permissions callback, doing it wrong should be called. If not is set, permissions callback. Okay. So it looks like it is doing what it should be doing. Calling doing it wrong. The current behavior is to trigger user error if debug is true. So let us do a quick now. This is where it's going to get interesting. For each args key arg group. Okay, so it's arg group. So let's do a quick. Let's just do a quick var dump of our group and then just die. Now, I wouldn't normally do this. I would normally set up xdebug and those kind of things. But I just want to see if this gives me anything useful before I go even further. Okay, so here we go. So that's what it's giving us. So let's give it some formatting quickly. I just want to quickly have a look at what's inside of this. The permissions callback is set and it defaults to return true. Is this the right one? Oh no, this is the embed controller. That's not what I want. 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 So let's do that. Maybe we'll get somewhere. Embed. Wait, you know what we need? Namespace root. So if namespace and root are example plugin and all items. Let's do it that way. Let's do it that way. Wrong key. So that should only trigger if that namespace is being called. It'll do it for all items, but that's fine. I just want to get a feel for what's inside of that variable. Let's have a look there. Oh, so I didn't specify. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay. So permissions callback is not set. So it should throw that error. Okay. So just doing it wrong. Not output. That's interesting. So this is not an issue with the REST API. This is an issue with doing it wrong function. Bum, bum, bum. Just see what trigger error does. Fail if debug is not turned on. That's fine. Do action, trigger error, run. And then trigger error. I wonder why it's not happening in the REST API. Okay, so I'm going to have to set up xdebug and step through all of this to see why it's doing that. But it's not actually a REST API error, but it could be an interesting error to dive into. So yeah, don't know if that's one I want to work on. I'm going to bookmark this one just as a I think what I'm going to do is comment on this. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to copy the link. I'm going to post a question in the core REST API. And I'm going to ask, hi folks, I was looking at this issue today. From what I can see, the problem is not REST API related, but related to the doing it wrong. Again, if not, is set permission callback. Yeah. What related to the do it wrong function? Doing it wrong. Doing it wrong. Where does that fall under? It falls under functions. The main WordPress API. Main WordPress API. I wonder if there's a component for that. Pitch upload, build test tools, bundle theme, cache API, economical. Is there a main API? Widgets users upload, upgrades, all toolbar, themes, text changes, sitemap, site health, shortcodes, security, script loader, role, rewrite rules, revisions, query, post thumbnails, permalinks, options, mail, import, general. General might be one option. Not cron, just not cache. I'm guessing general. Yeah, I would say this falls under general. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to post the question in core. Looking into this issue, logged against the REST API component today. Problem is not REST API, but it's doing wrong function. What I can't determine is which component that belongs to. My initial fault is general. And I'm just going to leave it like that. So hopefully somebody will come back and answer that question. And then I could probably go ahead and update the component because it's not a REST API related issue. Doing it wrong doesn't seem to be working properly. Or I'll just wait and see what folks say. Looking into this issue logged against REST API component today. From what I can see, the problem is not REST API related, but it's doing a wrong function. What I can't determine is which component that belongs to. My initial thought is general. So I'm going to post that. I'm going to see if folks come back with a response on that one. But yes, essentially that is how it goes when you want to contribute to core. You find an issue that is within the component or the area that you want to work on. You try and test out what the person is saying. You can either ask questions in the core channel if it relates to core or some component, and then you move on to the next one. As I was saying earlier in this stream, if you missed it, if you want to work specifically on Gutenberg block editor related things, then your best bet is to go specifically to that GitHub repository, which I'm going to paste now here. In the Gutenberg issue list, I do think they have a good first bug option, Yeah, good first issue. So it might be useful to filter by those and scroll through and see what you can find. If you want to contribute to Gutenberg, you need to fork and check out the Gutenberg repository specifically, which is a lot easier to set up than setting up WordPress core. You are essentially contributing to WordPress core. It'll just probably only get merged in much, much later, but that's another option to look at. But if you're working specifically with current WordPress core, it's going to be Trac. It's going to be looking through the tickets, setting up queries, looking for things that you can work on. One other way to do it, to look for sort of good first issues, is sort of look at the next minor releases and see what is going on around there. But this thing's not doing what I wanted to. Patches that need testing, also a good one. Tickets, there's good first bugs for new contributors under getting started. So maybe click on that and go through those. You'll see there's a whole bunch there. But it does kind of require you to sit down, read through it, see if it's something you feel like you can work on. One of my colleagues, let's see if I can find him here. He was lucky enough to have found bugs. I'm not going to find it. 1 second here. He has been fortunate over time to find bugs that are CSS related in the admin. Oh, why is that not working? Hang on, let me see. Is that not his profile name? Let me see if I can find him. That's weird. Anyway, I can't find his. I'm sure that was his username. Anyway, he's managed to find some bugs that were like CSS related, and adding CSS here and there. So it does require a little bit of sort of diving into tickets, reading through, seeing what you can find. Bundled theme is usually a good one to look for as well. That often has CSS related things. Administration will often have like replace EM based line height with unitless values. I mean, that's something that folks could probably work on. You do have to look for one that hasn't been worked on, but yeah, you do kind of need to get comfortable with Trac and go from there. All right, I'm going to wrap up today. I'm going to keep this doing it wrong one handy, and maybe I'll work on it next week. We'll see if I get a response in core. If you are new to contributing, I do recommend trying out those new contributor chats, or just pop into core. And oh, wait, look, someone's replied. General sounds good to me. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Some folks have come back. Jonathan Desrogier. Thanks, Jonathan. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to go up over here, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to say, hi, Oakley, thanks for logging this issue. It looks like this isn't specifically REST API related, and more that the doing it wrong function isn't logging to debug log in the scope of the REST. Actually, that might not be. It might be because of where it is. I just thought about it. Might be because of where it is. I'm going to need to test this further. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to leave it as is. And next week, I'm going to try and see if I can figure out how to get Xdebug working in the WordPress develop core code base, which runs Docker. I've never done this before. So let's just see if this is WordPress develop Docker Xdebug. It does seem to be some information about how to do this. So that's what I'm going to do, because next week I want to actually step through this code and I want to see what's set up and why it's not working. And maybe because it's in the scope of the REST API, doing it wrong is not working properly. I'm not quite sure, but it looks like it should be doing what it should be doing. It looks like doing it wrong should be being called and logging to the right place. So I need to kind of figure that out. So next week, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure out how to get XDebug set up. I use PHP Storm as my IDE, and I have PHP Storm set up as the using the zero configuration thing. So I think this week that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend some time configuring XDebug for PHP Storm and the WordPress developed code base, and then we're going to step through this issue. So let me make a note of that bug. I'm going to just copy it and save it somewhere. And then next week we'll carry on with that. If you want to watch the recording of this, I don't know how interesting it is to watch a recording of a live stream. But if you want to watch the recording, you can do at the WordPress YouTube channel. It'll take me a couple of days to get it uploaded to here, but I will upload it this week. And there's the previous one. You'll be able to find the new recording. So if you missed anything or if you want to see anything again, you can check it out there. And then yes, next week, hopefully all going well, we will set up XDebug and step through that code and see what's going on there. In the meantime, if you have any questions around all of this, you are welcome to send me a private message in the Making WordPress Slack. You can find me there at any time. Feel free to ping me with any questions around this. If you're busy getting it set up, if you want to know how to get started with contributing to WordPress, you're welcome to send me a ping and I will try and find the answer for you. But I think I'm going to wrap it up there. I feel like I've done enough today. I know I've still got 20 minutes left, but I can't think of anything else to do for the next 20 minutes. So thank you for joining me today. And I hope that I've been able to enlighten you in some way as to the process of contributing to WordPress. Okay, that's me done. Bye.